Redditors who cook, what's the biggest no thing in cooking?
Never pour spices directly into a steaming pot on the stove. The spices will congeal in their containers from the moisture introduced. Instead, put the spices in a separate side container, then add to a steaming pot.
Glass cutting boards. Like seriously, just GTFO. And in a similar vein, dangerously dull knives. I've seen some real bludgeons in other people's kitchens, no wonder they hate prep work.
Never do your prep work as you go. Do all the prep work up front and your cooking experience will be so much better. Don't pour oils down the drain.
Someone picking at the part of the meal you just put out while you're still cooking. For the love of God, stop mucking about with whatever it is you're cooking. Unless it's something you specifically need to be mixing or stirring constantly, leave it alone. You'll never get proper color on things if they make more contact with your spatula than your pan. Guessing at amounts when baking.
Learn this the hard way: don't throw fresh chili peppers into a hot pan unless you want to pepper spray the whole house.
Don't let your baking powder get clumpy. Tiny rocks of baking powder ruin anything you bake.
Do not mix citric fruits with milk.
Medium rare chicken. Works for steaks, but not for hen.
Multiple chefs. I hate walking around people in the kitchen and sharing knives throws me off. Not seasoning anything. There is a reason pretty much every recipe including candy and ice cream includes salt, you morons. Still, don't overdo it either. Plenty of stuff is preloaded with heaps of salt.
Blunt knives. I am by no means a pro chef, but I hate cooking at other people's places because they never have sharp knives. If I know I'm going to cook at someone's place, I bring my own. Taste as you go.
If it has touched raw meat, it can't go anywhere near cooked meat.
Not seasoning your chicken.
Things that make food taste good: salt, fat, butter, spices, garlic, chilies. I can't tell you how often I eat food someone else has made and it's like they've never heard of salt and they think margarine is fine. Also, if you ask yourself, why does ___ taste great when they make it, but not when I do? Reference the above.
Cooking with extra virgin olive oil over high heat.
Don't burn garlic. Chef for 10 years, here's some good things to keep in mind when cooking at home. 1. Clean as you go. It minimizes clutter and mess and makes everything easier. 2. Sharpen your damn knives, seriously, dull knives are dangerous as fuck. 3. Blenders are not just for smoothies, use them for sauces and your life will be changed. 4. Please stack your fridge appropriately so cross-contamination doesn't happen. Veggies and fruit on top, also eggs is fine, beef, fish, poultry. Chicken juice will contaminate raw veggies so quick. 5. You don't need a fucking knife block. I'm a chef for a living, I butcher 10 to 20 ducks a week and I have 6 knives. Even that is just cause I'm very particular. Your average home chef needs 3 at most. A standard length chef knife, a paring knife, which most home chefs never use from what I've seen, and a medium-size blade for veggies can be nice. 6. Label and date when you open stuff and keep it near the front. Keeping it near the front is most important as it helps encourage you to remember, yes, I have this kale that I should use before you open something else. 7. Olive oil can go bad, lots of people think it can't, but it can. 8. Canned stuff isn't the worst, just mix it with fresh stuff. 9. Diversify what ingredients you're using. Most Americans and Europeans cook with the same 20 things. Every time you go to the grocery store, pick up a new ingredient and try it out. Beets? Amazing. Like mushrooms? Try oyster mushrooms instead of generic shiitakes. Like onions? Grab a leek. Seriously, change it up. 10. Wading into more professional territory, but try some fermentation. Lots of great stuff out there, but I'd recommend kimchi. If you wanna get serious, buy the Noma Guide to Fermentation and actually read it. Best $30 you'll ever spend. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
People coming into the kitchen to help.
Cut the habaneros, then going to pee. Wash those hands first, son.
Pre-ground pepper grinds my gears. Get a grinder and a 4-pepper blend from McCormick's.
A dull knife.
Cooking everything on high because you want it done faster.
Don't stick your dick in the gravy, no matter how inviting it looks.
Chicken sushi.
Cranking the heat to reduce the cooking time will leave you with a burnt outside and an underdone inside.
Never, and I mean never, stick your dick into a hot saucepan.
Always mispronounce Worcestershire. The second most dangerous thing in the kitchen is a dull knife. The most dangerous thing in the kitchen is me with a sharpened knife if you insist on standing in my way at every twist and turn. If you ain't cooking, get out of the kitchen.
Do not mix hot cooking oil and cool sink water. I saw a girl burn the hell out of herself because she didn't listen to the home EC teacher. She threw her hot oil in a sink with some cool water running. Boom. Sprayed hot oil all over her arm and neck. Let your oil cool, folks.
Not letting your meat rest. Always wear pants while cooking bacon.
Using metal utensils on Teflon coated cookware. Cooking beef well done. Edit, not ground beef, lol. You got me there. At least not outside of burgers. Y'all know what I mean.
Coming anywhere near my non-stick pan with metal. If you scratch my pan, I will scratch your soul.
Don't rinse your pasta.
This doesn't pertain to the cooking itself really, but keep your knife sharp. It's one of your most important tools in the kitchen. I cringe when I see people at work or in Reddit posts scraping ingredients off the cutting board with the blade side of their knife.
Not using enough butter.
Feeling like it's too hard or being afraid to experiment with stuff. Obviously don't try something totally new when you're cooking for guests, but don't feel like failing means you suck. If you mess up, learn from it and move on. It's not the end of the world.
Never cook your meth without proper ventilation. My lazy ass learned the hard way to never use a pot holder that got wet to get a hot pan out of the oven. Basically renders the pot holder useless, ended up burning my hand and dropping my food. Also, when baking bread, don't add cold water to a hot Pyrex that has been in there for a minute to make steam. I knew what was going to happen, but I did it anyway. Boom. Glass shards everywhere.
Never let water touch chocolate.
Dull knives. Few things are more dangerous than a dull knife. Also, non-wood cutting boards. Among other things, because acrylic cutting boards cause dull knives.
Skipping fresh ingredients. Just peel and chop garlic. Squeeze a lemon. Skip the jar bottle. Cutting with a dull knife. Get yourself a sharpener, even if it's a cheap one.
Medium rare chicken is not a thing. Don't touch your eyes after cutting chili. And always clean your hand. FFS, it's basic knowledge. Cross-contamination with raw chicken or pork.
Do not start cooking unless all or almost all ingredients are prepped. You cannot start chopping onions while your meat is frying dry in the pan.
Adding salt is a matter of course, or just because the recipe says to. Taste first, and only add if needed. If you've used stock or a stock cube in your dish, you might not even need salt, they already have it.
Cooking everything on the stove on high. I notice people who don't really know how to cook always do this. Burning things on a pan isn't cooking.
Having ketchup as a pasta sauce, instead of making one, which is super easy and million times tastier.
If your oil is on fire, don't use water to extinguish it. Actually, even if it isn't on fire, don't put water in hot oil.
Standing in the kitchen when I'm cooking. Get the fuck out, don't get in my way.
Never, and I mean never, panic if you start a fire on accident. You need to be calm enough to know if you have to smother it, oil or grease fires, or grab the extinguisher. Panicking can get your house burned down.
Keep an eye on your food, never leave the kitchen, you never know what is going to happen. Also, from personal experience, make sure you turn off all the burners when you're done. I got done eating and realized I left the pan with oil on a burner still. Luckily it was on low heat. I spent a half hour scrubbing the burnt oil off the pan. Don't burn the ramen plastic accidentally when cooking.
Incorrectly storing ingredients. Seriously, you can get ill if you let raw chicken juice drip on your salad in the fridge. Then, cut meat and veg on separate boards.
Don't try to catch a dropped knife. Back away and let it fall. Edit, my first silver. Thank you, kind stranger. Edit 2, gold. Thank you, other kind stranger.
You can't cook without onions just because you don't like them. Don't press your burgers down as they're cooking. You're releasing all the juice. It'll give you a dry-ass burger. There are such things as smash burgers, but I believe on those, you smash them at the beginning before the fat has a chance to melt so you're not smashing the juice out.
Pouring water to try to cool down the oil and make it smoke less. It'll only make it worse. Water is the last thing you pour on a hot pan with oil on it.
Making a cake then eating the whole thing right after.
Don't even touch my goddamn cast irons. I spent hours treating rust and yelling because my roommates fucked 4 of them up.
Not washing your hands after touching certain things, like eggs.
Using sugar to take the edge off a highly acidic sauce. Just put a damn carrot in it and let it absorb the acidity instead of covering it with a new flavor. Edit, add a peeled whole carrot and simmer it, then remove the carrot after cooking.
Don't forget to let the ingredients get to know each other.
Never put oil in the pot when cooking pasta, as the sauce will just slip and slide away instead of sticking to the pasta.
Putting oil in your pasta water. Fight me. Don't grab something that is on the stove without a towel or some type of heat protection. Don't combine water and hot oil. If a grease fire starts, don't use water to try to put it out. Salt, a baking sheet, or a dry towel might work if you don't have a fire extinguisher. Don't season a liquid before reducing it, it will become too salty after you reduce it. Don't use a cold pan to sear something, get the pan hot first, better sear. Don't use extra virgin olive oil when you're using high heats, it will burn. Don't cut meat immediately after cooking it, more juices will flow out, the meat will become drier. Wait a few minutes. Don't hold an object with your fingers extended when you're cutting it. You're less likely to seriously cut your fingers if you curl your fingers like a claw. Don't use a sharp knife on metal, like a pie tin or steel counter, or glass or marble. Don't use a nice knife on anything other than food. A common offense would be opening a food package with it. Don't send a nice knife through a dishwasher. Don't leave a sharp knife in the sink. Don't leave a knife wet, even ones claiming to be stainless will often rust if left wet. Don't follow a recipe too religiously. If it doesn't taste well to you, don't leave it because you follow the recipe exactly. Remember, you can't get some stuff back after you add it. Go slow with seasonings, and lightly. You can always add more, but you can't take it back. Don't let your food taste like ocean water.
Don't leave pasta in the water when it's done! Exclamation mark.
Mixing bleach and ammonia when cleaning the kitchen after hours.
Don't put the ramen cup without water in a microwave. Big no-no. Cooking with unwashed hands.
Microwaving a salad.
Consider subscribing.